Songwriter Soup.
It started with the EP Rolling Up the Welcome Mat.
Yes.
She was going through a divorce, and it didn't even count towards her deal, that record.
Why?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Something with her deal, I guess.
Wow.
So you're welcome, Black River.
Whoa.
Right.
Healthy recipes for not losing your mind and your money in the songwriter business.
My first deal was
Yeah.
I was taking advantage of it in every way. My publishing deal, in production scenarios, I was setting my stems. They were used on the record, and I have no standing to be like, no, I deserve production. Now that would never happen.
Well, what would happen if you did that?
No pressure. Here it is. Welcome to Songwriter Soup,
Yes.
Welcome back.
baby.
We're here, sitting in a place that is an attic. Hi, Kevin, Tracy, good to see you. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm so good. Alysa Vanderheym is here.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. Okay. There's a few reasons. I've several, actually a handful. One is I think you're our second female producer, which we've had fucking 70 episodes. So that says a lot.
That's crazy.
That's
Congratulations
crazy.
on that, by the way.
Thank you.
Very good job.
We're
We made
recorded in the can. I think we got about 70.
In the can.
In the can, we made it. The fact that those numbers reflect that way is pretty fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And I've known you a long time, and I feel like we've been with each other on some really remarkable days, and I feel like our nomination stuff kind of happens at the same
It's
time.
really cute.
We keep getting that high five
We get showered with blessings together.
at the same time, which
Yeah.
is very, very sweet. I'm curious about how you got here because, again, I feel like you were always here. Do you know when you're just like, someone's your friend and you're like, oh yeah, when were you not here?
Yeah.
It goes kind of far back.
Yeah.
I met you at Major Bob.
Yeah.
And it was bizarre remembering it because I was like, oh, a girl. Like truly, if I'm being honest, I was like, oh my God, a girl who's producing. Because in Nashville, I don't think I had ever seen such a thing.
Because you were producing it in
Yeah.
your first deal, like
Yeah.
right out of the gate?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, production's a loose word. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was like making the demo.
God, you sure seemed like you knew what you were doing.
Well, looking back, I'm like, oh my God.
Making cool sounds.
I
Just
mean, well, questionable.
Who?
that's fair.
Making sounds, we can say that for
Making-
sure.
Yeah,
For
we were
sure.
making
Sure.
sounds. Who found you? Like,
Jesse Frazier.
okay, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So like graduated Belmont. The plan was always to be like a writer. I didn't really get into production till later, but I like learned Pro Tools. I basically was like paying attention to people like Jimmy Robbins and stuff when I was still at Belmont. And I was like, oh, these are songwriters who also build tracks. Like that would get me a publishing deal if I could learn how to do that. So I just basically, I was friends with like Zach Alband
Yeah.
at the time and Will Weatherly before we all had deals. And so they would like show me, how to make tracks and stuff. And Jesse heard my name, I think through like Brett Young. It was like right before he signed his record deal.
Wild.
And I had made a demo for him randomly. And so, yeah, he ended up signing me. And I was there at Major Bob for 4 years and then followed him to Rhythm House.
Got it. Okay, question. Were you like, when you say the plan was a songwriter, but then I pivoted because it would have been an asset, it's like a tool in my toolbox. At what point were you just writing? Like top lining?
Honestly, like just in college,
college.
and like, yeah. Yeah.
Did you get
And like
approached
in
for
my
that?
bedroom
Okay.
Yeah.
in high school.
Did you get approached for the Major Bob deal in college, or was it right
It was like like 6 months after.
6 months? So
Yeah.
soon after. Yeah.
She's a youngin'.
Interesting. Because I
Yeah.
think about the kids listening, thinking about going to Belmont and thinking, you obviously met some really influential people in that time, it sounds like.
Yeah, definitely. Like it was a great launching pad. Like I
Yeah.
had an internship at like Disney Music Publishing at the time. Sierra was there, and Patrick Clifford was there, and so that was cool. And then yeah, and my professors were all cool, and I did learn a lot about like the craft of lyric writing and just kind of because Nashville's built different. I mean, it's crazy. And I would study like Jesse Alexander songs and like I was like studying.
Wow.
Yeah, I would study like Blake Shelton records and like write notes.
Okay, tell me. I want to
Really?
know what
Yeah,
that looks
let's
like.
dig into that.
I'd like
Yeah,
to know what
for
that looks like.
I would be on my bed and like have my journal, and I was like definitely stoned, and I would be listening, and yeah, just like the way the economy of the lyric, like how much you could fit in and how much the hook would hit harder every time you heard it, and just like things that the lyrics did. It was like magic. I was like, how did they do
That
this?
is like Nashville's
Okay.
greatest export to me.
It
is
is.
that economy and that pointing. I feel like we're always kind of winking towards the
Always
title.
pointing to the hook.
Mhm.
Yeah, you just said something that hit me as a listener. The hook hit harder every time.
Mhm.
How do y'all do? Because I mean, a light bulb just exploded in my brain when you said that, because it does. As the consumer of music, it's like the next time the hook comes around, it's like, oh, even like it even more. I like it even more. How do y'all do that?
Man, it's funny because I feel like we learn by osmosis. Like we like exactly what you were doing, like sitting on a bedroom, you know, a dorm bedroom floor and like stoned as hell going, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then you get in a room with people who know how to do it and they teach you how to do it. Now, I have a question.
Yes.
When done well,
I know.
when done horribly, it just looks like shit craft. Do you know what I mean? It just looks like
Too
Kraft Mac,
just-
you know what I
yeah,
mean? And
Kraft
cheese.
Oh, yeah.
I just feel like it's a funny thing how when done, like Jesse Alexander is a great example. I'm sure mine would be you, was one of the songs, considering the artists and
100%.
songwriters you mentioned. Like that's a perfect example. We had Connie Harrington on and talked about that song. And did we talk about that song? I was thinking about that song.
All
I think
the
we
time,
talked about
the
it.
whole time.
Yeah.
I
We
don't know
did,
that
right?
we talked about
Okay,
it, but we
God.
thought about it together.
But that's one of the best like songs that do that very thing, and then they, you know, twist the knife at the end and the whole thing. I mean, that is, I feel like you learn that by just doing it.
And
How
just
do you-
soaking it up.
Totally.
Yeah.
The mechanism, and I feel like when you start trying it, it comes out cheesy, and that's okay.
Right. Yeah.
You have to keep
It's okay to
doing
sound
good
cheesy
point.
early.
in the beginning.
Right.
100%.
If that's your end result,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
maybe go back to the
Yeah.
basics or something. But if you're starting and you're like, how do I do that? How do I do that again? How do I do that again? I think that's just the beginning.
So true.
Your Belmont experience. I mean, there's a lot of people who, you know, go to Belmont simply for proximity to Music Row. Was that mainly the draw, or was it a school you had heard of aside from?
Honestly, I just wanted the songwriting major because my mom was like, you're going to college. And so there's like Berklee College of Music in Boston, which is not a music town. There's USC in LA, which intimidated me. And then Belmont. And I was like, okay,
Done.
And yeah, the Music Row proximity is great. When I first visited Nashville, I was like expecting like skyscrapers, like all the major publishing company. I was expecting all this stuff, and all the little houses. I was like, this is it.
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
This house was once a publishing house. This was once a writing room, probably
Right.
back in
It's crazy.
the days of yore.
And the history of this town is insane.
I like how human it is. It's just so like songwriter human. Like I love
May
this
it never
town.
change.
Yeah, may it well, it's a changing a touch. May we get paid more.
Period.
So you, Jesse Frazier, I know he was like a huge part of that beginning part, obviously at Major Bob and then Rhythm House.
Yeah.
Would you say you were like a protege? Was he like kind of like he was mentoring you, but then he signed you? Like, how did that go?
Yeah. He was definitely a mentor. Because like he would take my tracks and be like, you know, add this, or like, you know, he taught me so much.
That's awesome.
And also like watching him and how he works and how he deals with artists and the business side of it, everything too, because he's great with both. And he was a he is a trailblazer.
Yes.
Like Crash and Burn, one of his early number ones, like that changed the game.
100%.
And that was a two-way. That was him and Chris Stapleton.
Crazy.
So yeah, he was a huge inspiration and like such a great guide and like like that's how I like learned about the business was through him. So
that's
I
wild.
was very lucky that he was the one that I got to learn from.
He's been on this podcast and, you know, we had a really cool conversation with him.
I love how music you would think you guys would be competitors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Being producer. And it's so cool how the theme we hear every time is there's that relationship.
Yeah.
It's not competitor, it's collaborator.
Yeah.
Let me show you everything I've got, and then let's try to make something cool together.
100%.
I bet it's really tempting to be competitive there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, starting off, it's like, I didn't know what I was doing. You're the big dog. Like, I'm not going to compete with you. I'm learning from you and like grateful for what you were showing me. And the art, like, you know, he introduced me to Kelsey. He introduced me to Little Big Town. He like introduced me to Charles Kelly. Like just being around that artist proximity was really helpful. But then there does come a time when it's like, oh, we're now on equal playing fields and we are competing for, there's only so many slots. There's only so many album cuts. So it does come to that point at some point, but
and it should. I feel like this is the risk too of mentoring with a finance piece, which is not for everyone. I don't think everyone should be a mentor and a signer of deals.
Yeah.
That's not meant for everyone. But when you do that, that's the handshake you're shaking.
Totally.
Yeah.
You're definitely setting in motion the fact that you will be competing at some point. So I feel like that's just not for everyone. That needs to be like really thought through.
Totally.
Before because it seems fun, and then your ego, it gets a little flirty. Yeah, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you signed anyone?
Have I signed? I haven't actually. But that's definitely like on the agenda for this next chapter. I just signed a new deal.
Oh, where are you at?
Exciting. Universal.
Hello.
With Miss Roxy King.
Oh, yay.
I know.
How fun.
I'm very excited.
That's very cool. Yeah. I'm excited.
You think it might be through a co-venture type arrangement?
If I sign someone, I feel like it would be through Universal and I would just sign them with them. But I'm definitely down. I just need to like get my next chapter rolling and like feeling good. And then I feel like that'll be like next year, kind of thing.
I like hearing you say that because I think if I were in a mentoring situation, I would want to be blowing and going.
Yeah.
And bringing somebody along for the ride,
exactly.
not relying on somebody for the ride.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
And I think that makes a lot of sense. That's the way I view it here, even, it's like, no, jump on the train, let's go.
Yeah.
Just like Jesse did in a way that teach you, mentor you, but then I'm not relying on that mentee to boost my career.
Right.
I mean, it's going to,
right?
But that's that financial relationship you're
having
talking about.
Having the space and the capacity to actually be able to mentor someone, and
there you go.
Yeah. And picking the right person is so important. So
we went pretty hard on this topic with. Do you know Thomas Daniel? He's someone who's with Big Machine, and I had, I found him essentially, and I think he's the next big thing. He's brilliant, but I didn't want to sign him because I saw it as basically cutting into what he would make and cutting into what the publisher would make. And I'm trying to make that topic sort of something that our generation realizes that if you're going to do it, make sure it benefits everybody more than you're taking.
Right.
Because otherwise you're just kind of getting like a fancy fee.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And I don't want a fancy fee.
Yeah.
I also don't want anyone's dreams to be hooked up to mine. It's too intertwined. I'd rather mentor for free and let people make their own dreams come true than having them depend on me. But that's, again, it comes in many shapes and sizes. People who are willing to put in the time to really, really do the thing that's worth the thing that the new writer is giving up.
Yeah.
That's what you really have to,
100%
look at. And I feel like the finder fee thing is like a really snaky little thing that kind of Nashville just started doing. I'm like, guys, we don't need to be doing this.
I know.
Come up with a way to really like benefit the writer. That's sick. So I want to talk about Kelsey because this is like such a huge, like, I've had this experience too where I have personally just locked in with someone and everything unfolded from there. Where, like Kelsey, man, how do I feel? Kelsey could have been Carrie Underwood if she had just stayed the course of do what they tell you to do, stick with the normal songs. And by the way, Carrie, queen, we love her, did it amazing. No hate at all. But I feel like Kelsey was like, I would like to make art.
Mm-hmm.
Can I make art? Is it okay if I make art? And I feel like she never went back once she really got together with you.
Mm-hmm.
Explain it.
Wait, it's so ironic because she hasn't had a hit since she met me. We were laughing about this last night.
Oh my goodness.
But
well, I think there's something to unpack there, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But I would just love to know, like, obviously the intention was more about the music, the stories, expressing oneself. I feel like, there's drawbacks to every machine that you participate in.
Yeah.
And the Carrie Underwood machine is done a very specific way.
Right.
And I admire someone who's willing to say, hey, I would like to make art. We'll see if the hits come.
Mm-hmm.
The hits are an aside. I'd like to make art. I'm just like, is that a conversation that was had?
I don't think, well, first of all, it started with the EP Rolling Up the Welcome Mat.
Yes.
She was going through a divorce, and it didn't even count towards her deal, that record. It was just like literally a side thing, like for her own brain to get it off her chest.
Why?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Something with her deal, I guess.
Wow. You don't hear about that very often.
Yeah. So you're welcome, Black River.
Whoa.
Right.
But so yeah, we just did that to get her, her feelings off. And I guess when you're writing something that raw and that personal and that detailed, like a down the middle track just doesn't fit that. So we just did whatever we wanted. Also, we knew it wasn't going to be on radio. Like, it wasn't counting towards her deal. We were just like,
why did you know? Because you knew they wouldn't push it to radio? Because it was okay.
And like that wasn't the vibe anyways.
That wasn't the intention.
Yeah.
Got it.
So we just did whatever we wanted, and it was like low budget. Like, we were just like, it was just the two of us, making shit up. And so I think we didn't set out to make art. I think it just happened because what I said, like, the lyrics are so raw. We're not going to make like a down the middle track to that.
The pressure was off too.
The pressure was off, and it was fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we didn't know that people were going to like it the way they did. Like, it was so that no pressure, which was the key. And then we did an album, which was, a little bit more, we had a few more down the middle songs on there, but we just did another EP that came out on Friday, which kind of went back to those, and same vibe, like
chill.
The raw, vulnerable, like, snapshot into her life where you can kind of see exactly where she's at. It doesn't lend itself to like a Carrie Underwood type vibe, So I'm so thankful to her that she just lets me be myself and like trust me to do whatever sonically. But her voice is still so like commercial and candy. It's just like, it just works.
This is why I'm fascinated, because like, again, it's like breaking up with the machine a little bit.
Breaking up with the machine is a sick concept for something.
That might be the title of this podcast. I know that I think about it. No, I just feel like it. When I think about her, I think of someone who was just like, I did the thing, it was cool, and now I have enough, like, what's the word? Sort of like
goodwill,
little runway, a little bit of like bandwidth or something, maybe financially or just like credibility wise.
You have that under your belt.
Yes.
And I think she has seven number ones.
That's
crazy. That's like a great
That's
thing.
enough.
That's plenty.
Probably.
It's plenty to build and make what you want to make. It's funny that you have to get there to get to this point. I think that's maybe a country thing. And not necessarily a pop thing or a, Americana or indie artist thing. You can make art and do you.
Did Casey have massive hits before Golden Hour? Right.
She had her radio airplay was abysmal from the jump. I feel like because she took risks storytelling wise, she made people uncomfortable, which is like my favorite fucking thing on earth. Which is why I admire this like art making piece. I'm so like, I wonder when country will.
I want to see a country dude do it. A male.
Yeah.
Like Sam Hunt did it with Montevideo.
True.
Yes.
But that's all I can think about.
Wow.
In terms of what though? In terms of like breaking the format, or in terms of like the rawness of it, or
rawness? It might be the rawness, but it's also the story. It's the story you're willing to tell rubbing people wrong is not exactly country's, biggest export right now. Used to be.
Yeah.
When it was all about cheating, hoeing, and divorce and
True country.
It was really like uncomfortable, and it made people go, "Oh my God, that's my neighbor. Oh my God, that's me." And I loved that about country. And maybe it'll come back. We'll see. But I do think people like Kelsey taking risks like that and still being ubiquitous with the format is good for the format.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, it is good for the format. It's great.
And then you've been rewarded.
Yes. And I'm glad that she hasn't gone completely pop. Like, so many people are like, is she going pop now? Like, I'm like, no, dude, like, she's country.
She's doing the thing.
Yeah.
And then you've just been so decorated with attention from a critical standpoint that's the thing that I'm so I'm so fascinated with how music works. Like, you go off.
Me too.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you go off the beaten path, you do something a little organic, a little natural, and all of a sudden the Grammys are like, who? You know what I mean? Like, what is that? You know? No interest in the other stuff.
Right.
That's interesting.
Right.
Seems like I'm thinking of guys who have kind of gone off the path, and I think they all they get pushed to Americana. Right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Who was I'm trying to think of the guy that got an Americana award. Was it Sturgill who got an Americana award and was like, yo, I wrote a country record or something?
Is it Tyler Childers?
Might have been Tyler.
I wouldn't put it past either of them.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
one of the two of those guys that
it sounds like
received
Tyler,
the award.
because he's now in the contemporary country category for this year too.
Is he really?
Because you submit yourself, you choose what you want.
You choose.
Yeah.
Chris Stapleton seems to be the only one who just everyone accepts in every single scenario.
Yeah.
Literally, like, we accept you as country, we accept you as critically acclaimable music, ubiquitous now. What a voice.
Yeah.
It's hard
the voice
to
of the
deny.
Lord.
Like, my God, he's kind of a Stevie Wonder level, like, that's some tomfoolery there. He's crazy talented. But again, I'm just fascinated by the you have to choose between. You don't. That's not true. But sometimes you have to choose between critical acclaim and playing with the machine.
Yep.
And I don't know. I would love. I don't. Kelsey and I are like acquaintances, but I would love to sit and ask her, like, how does this feel?
Yeah.
And for
That's a
you
good
as
question.
the producer, like, does it feel gratifying? Does it feel scary? What is it like?
It's a special feeling because I think it's rare to get that kind of attention. So I feel special.
Yeah.
And I'm glad it's paying off because I just love what I do, and I'm just so thankful to work with an artist like Kelsey that is down a clown and is such a good songwriter and can pull it off.
Yeah.
Like, that's so rare. So
would it be fair to say though that, like, I know Kelsey's catalog, but and not yours as intimately because you're not an artist. But like, would it be fair to say that y'all have both grown pretty exponentially in this last couple of cycles? Like, for sure. I've seen. I mean, Kelsey always has put out like quality music and thoughtful. I think it never felt like ultra processed super sugar music to me, but like,
she always had her lane.
Yeah, always had her lane. But this is different and feels like there's a big explosion of growth, and the fact that you guys are so tied, you're so synonymous with these records, which in ways that other producers are not on other records. Like, I don't know, it seems like there's so much growth there. I don't know. Yeah. I don't want to like put anything on you.
That's
but
nice
like,
to hear. Yeah. I mean, she's just such a good writer. She's made me a better writer. And just the way she approaches the business as an artist, like, it's I've learned so much from her, like, as a businesswoman and how many hats she has to wear and stuff. And she's empowered me so much. Like, the fact that like an established artist like that trusts me and is like, no, you're producing it. I'm like, that's empowering. So, like,
can you unpack that? Like, has there been pressure for her to go away?
You mean like use
from you?
Oh,
like,
I mean, like, listen, every artist is gonna experiment and try new people, as they should.
Because, of course.
Yeah. And so I'm sure that'll happen at some point.
Of course. Yeah, we talk about that all the time. Like how you can't close.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
so
like their choice.
I'm just happy for as long as she'll have me, you know?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's also like the tribe of women that have really circled around these albums too.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's like, I only know from social media little hints of like the vacation, the lady vacay, that is making a Kelsey record.
Retreats.
And all these incredible, remarkable, achieved girlies just kind of rallying around and talking women's things.
Yeah.
Like that to me is also sort of new.
Yeah.
And by that I mean country's interest in women's stories,
Yeah. And like that album, which you're talking about, Patterns, just got nominated for a Grammy.
Yes.
Which is so sick to see it like actually pay off. But yeah, it's so special.
Yes.
That never happens. Like, and like everyone is so accomplished in their own right, like you said.
Tell us that story a little bit. I'm coming in from the outside. Like, what did that look like? The making of that of Patterns.
Kelsey. So after we did Welcome At, that was just us two, and it was time to do another record. And I think she was still feeling like very vulnerable and raw, and like didn't really want to open her circles too much. And she had written with JJ before, Jessie Jo Dillon.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, she was written with Hillary, and she's friends with Karen. We wrote on her last
Fairchild,
record. Yeah, Karen Fairchild from
Hillary Lindsay.
And so we'd all worked together before, and it just felt, I think, cozy for her. And so we did one retreat. We did 3 retreats, and then would write a little bit in between. But the first retreat went so well, and she was just like, you know what? I think this is my career for the record. I don't want to write with anyone else. And so I think some of us were like, really? Like, don't you want to, like, there's just, really? And so, but she was like, yeah, no, like, no chance. Like, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
So we just doubled down and just buckled up and did 3 retreats. We did one in St. Louis at Grant's Farm, and then we got to go to Blackberry Farms, which is
fun.
The food there is
crazy,
insane.
Crazy.
Oh my God. We were spoiled. And then the third one, we got to go to the Bahamas, which was really fun. So.
And would you finish songs at those retreats or start them and then finish them here?
Yeah. Nothing really got, yeah, we would start them. But a lot of what we did there made the record, like vocals and, parts and stuff.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
And as the producer, would you sort of get the start of the song and then come back and flesh it out a little bit?
Yes. And then we would also have like sessions with like a band in the studio. So we could really get like the pros on it.
Got
it.
Yeah.
And you were really everyone was relying on you to get this sonically. Mm-hmm. There was no other producer it was just you.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I'm immediately like sweating. Like that sounds like so much pressure, especially it's like Karen Fairchild is like Little Big Town queen.
Yeah.
All of these unbelievable, talented, lifers are like depending on you.
And like the worst thing is to like produce a song and like the songwriter's unhappy with how it sounds. Like that's my nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're a songwriter.
Yeah.
You get it.
Yeah.
It's like, you probably never stopped working during that time.
No,
I'm guessing.
I didn't.
Immersive.
I was going crazy. I had a broken wrist actually
for
6 months of it.
Terrible
not 6
timing.
months, 6 weeks.
That's a lot.
That'd be crazy.
Oh God, was it your mouse hand or your?
It was my left hand. Thank God.
Thank God.
But yeah, I remember just grinding.
Yeah.
I actually did a 10-day water fast
I've
in
done
the
them
middle of like as it was due,
Fun.
and I was like, what? For some reason, my body just told me to do it, but I was like, all my friends were like, why are you doing this now? Like, you have to work. Like, I was like, I know, I just feel like I have to.
How about that mental clarity, though,
and
day 3?
It was incredible.
Yes, it's crazy.
It was like natural Adderall. I was just zooming through.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
So.
Fasts are very crazy.
Yeah. No one knows about fasts.
I feel like people should know about fasts.
Check it out.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, we need to highlight that in wherever the show notes are, whatever those are.
Sorry, before we get too far in this.
Fasting is amazing.
Songwriter Soup does not provide dietary or medical advice.
Yeah, please don't trust us.
Yeah, we do.
Don't
ask me
about.
We don't, Tracy. Suing. Lawsuits.
This is for demonstration purposes
That's
only.
Right. Just personal experience only. Well, yes. And I that mental clarity, though, just for fun, I feel like that's really interesting timing.
Cool.
People have asked me before if I've fasted through, important rites or whatever. And I'm like, always like, well, yeah, that was like my best song. My brain is so fucking clear.
Yeah. It's amazing. After day 3. First days suck.
No,
the first
pretty
couple.
Terrible. Crazy. Okay. I have more questions. You are someone I would have assumed by now would be like an LA either transfer or a visitor. Do you do that?
Yeah. I go to LA sometimes. I always thought I would like end up there because I'm from California, and Nashville's like never really felt like home, but it's starting to now, which is so funny because I've been here since 2012.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I got a cat or something.
But you got a cat?
I did. She's so cute.
What's her name?
Blueberry.
Blueberry.
She's so sweet.
Oh, I want to meet her.
You will.
That I will. Yes, I will. So when you go, like, what's your story? Does your publisher just book a few things?
Yeah.
Is it random smatterings? Do you go out for projects?
Usually if I'm like already out there, and I'll just do a trip when it makes sense, or it'll just be like, oh, I haven't been there in 4 months. Like, I should probably just go and like touch base and write with some friends.
Gotcha.
I actually recently got a place, like renting a room from a friend in their house, but I'm not there as much as I thought I was going to be. So I'm like, yeah.
You got to sublease the sublet.
Sublease the sublet.
It's a smart test drive, though.
Yeah,
on a financial front.
Yeah.
I remember when you were going through your LA, not LA decision. It was about
LA's never been more eager to come here. Like,
I know.
It's crazy. If it wasn't like that, I'm sure I would probably be 50-50.
I'd be there more if it were not for so many people coming here.
We're in the same vibe on that.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's probably easier to get people to come here these days.
It's mainly just that they are coming here.
Yeah.
It's not even
they love
that
it.
Yeah, and every time they come here, they love it. Well, I mean, not 100%. Most people I talk to love coming here, and it's like if they're here, we don't have to go there.
Yeah.
So it's really less getting them to come here, and just they are coming here.
And it draws people that are attracted to Nashville are like songwriters, like artists that are like care about getting a good song.
That's right.
Which is nice. It's a nice filter.
Pretty nice.
That is, because it takes a little effort to get here.
It
so
does.
you're only going to come if you want to get
and
into
you have
the song.
To care about the songwriting,
100%.
which is makes those co-writes are pretty special.
I'm so thankful I came up in Nashville.
Me too.
It's either LA or Nashville, really. And I'm so bad.
It's like the pillars that you learn here are, I want to say, more sustainable for making a career path to song, like to making music. If you're learning sounds, which, as a producer, I'm sure this is hitting you differently even than it hits me, but like when you're coming up in LA, you're learning sounds and you're learning machinery and you're learning technique on capture, and all that is so great. But those things change so much, and songwriting kind of doesn't. Maybe it does, but it doesn't.
A good lyric is timeless.
Timeless, exactly.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned too at Belmont you learned the craft of lyric writing, not I learned how to do this production strategy, because I would think it would be like the tech industry. It moves too fast to actually educate people on it. I would love to know what Belmont's thoughts on that are.
Yeah.
Because to me, it seems the sounds of music are moving way too fast.
Yeah, so fast.
And it's all recycling.
Yeah.
All the sounds, that's why you have to have taste and just good instinct.
We've talked about taste a lot on this podcast, because it can really distinguish, all the technicals can be in place, but if you don't have that's the thing that's distinguishing, I think. I have some financial questions.
Yes.
But again, stop me. You are a producer. You receive points on masters as a producer. I'm assuming when you're co-writing, you receive even splits of your co-written songs. It would be fun to tell the kids what that looks like. And I'm especially excited to talk to you because, like you said earlier, there haven't been monstrous radio hits with your Kelsey stuff. There's been a lot of appeal, critical acclaim, and people like it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What does a deal like that look like from a financial standpoint 2 years after everything? And the reason I ask that is because these things are, they depend on the artist to, you know, there's recoupments and things and costs for music videos and all those things that have to be paid back. Typically, I don't know if that's in your deal, but those things have to be paid back before your point structure comes into play.
Yep.
You also get a fee for each of these songs. Do you? I'm asking an onslaught of questions.
Yeah.
Help, forgive me for this, but like, do you get a fee for the ones you work on? Do you get a fee for the ones that come out? Do you get does the fee happen in a timely fashion? Like, help songwriters understand the handshake that they're making with, I want to learn Pro Tools because I think being a producer would be a helpful asset in my songwriting career. Explain, if you don't mind, what that looks like from a very literal standpoint when you're being depended on to finish the tracks and deliver and the, edits and the thises and the that's and the, all of those things, and financially about 2 years later.
Right. Good question.
Thank you.
No one really talks about money.
I know.
And also, like, Kelsey's one of my best friends. So it's, that usually is rare when you're like making money together with your friends.
Yes.
But, publishing is one pot and then producer points is another pot. I think it depends on your deal. I think, you can either do like fully recoupable on the points or like 50% recoupable.
What does that look like? What's the difference?
So 50% recoupable is it has to recoup 50% until you start making money.
Got it.
From your royalties. 100%, you have to recoup 100, so it'll take longer for you to make money and you'll make less.
And are you negotiating that with the label or with Kelsey?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Is this a manager publisher job?
It's usually, now I just have a lawyer, but it's usually Kelsey's lawyer, my lawyer.
Working it out.
Think it's usually, I'm not sure if her lawyer works for the label or I think it's just her personal lawyer.
Yeah, probably so. Okay, that's good to know. Because that's what we learned from Paul. I think he was relying on the artist to get data to even know, was he 50% recouped or so?
Really?
Yeah. So
he needs a business manager.
Perhaps.
For sure. I mean,
he's also not
key.
He's not in as clear. This is why I didn't ask him this. He's more of a
writer, right?
He's more of a writer, and he's not. It's easier math when you're just talking about two people.
Right.
So that's why I specifically wanted to ask you. It's going to be easier for the listener to understand. Hi. It's going to be easier for songwriters to understand what this all looks like with your scenario versus Paul Gigi's. So.
Right.
Yeah, because the business managers chase that down.
Yeah, they do.
Sure.
Yeah. Which is great.
So returning to what you said, 50% recoupable, 100% recoupable.
Or sometimes you can get it to where it's not recoupable at all. That's rare. But
so that means you get paid right when the music starts making money, you start making money.
Yeah.
What are we recouping?
So you're recouping the fee.
The fee.
Yeah.
So you're okay.
Your production fee, your producer fee.
Yes.
Not the total record budget.
Yes. Yeah, that you don't have to worry about that. That's the label's cross to bear.
You have to recoup your own fee.
Yes. Or partially recoup it.
Wait. I don't think I realized that.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Light bulb moment for Laura.
That is a huge light bulb moment because that means they're actually making you pay yourself back for work you did.
Yeah. It's an advance.
Yeah. Yeah.
The label?
But yes.
The label is paying you. The label's paying you to record and produce.
Yeah.
It's not a both and.
They're not even paying you really because you're paying you later.
Basically. And like not very much either.
Fucking A.
Yeah.
Well, but you're getting paid either way.
Yes.
It's just
I understand.
in advance.
But the distinction is stout. It's the same way a publishing deal.
Recoupable. Yeah.
You have to pay back what you borrowed, but this isn't borrowing. She's being paid for a fucking something she's delivering. That's different.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is a massive light bulb moment for me.
It is crazy.
So you're being paid to do a service that you are paying yourself back to do. That is so fucked up. Anyway.
Yeah.
50% recoupable is a good.
I mean,
and then,
it's good. And then you can get not recoupable. Labels don't like to do that. But and then
Oh,
yeah.
I'm never going to get over that.
But then you can also put in your thing where you have a studio fee, which is not recoupable, which is a way to get your fee up that's not recoupable, which is like, you know, all this equipment is very expensive. I paid for it myself.
Right.
We're tracking vocals at my house. We're doing all this stuff at my house, which a lot of the record is made in my studio. So that's another way to get your fee up a little bit.
Okay, question.
That's not recoupable.
This is something to break open. Producers who rent studios rent that fee is that. So you're incentivized to have these functions at home.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's rare that you're doing everything in a studio that is paid for the label. Like, that's pretty rare. Usually a producer these days will have their own setup.
These days, but it's an interesting thought looking back on like the Rick Rubin-y, like the back in the day where not that Rick Rubin didn't have a fucking studio, but you know what I mean? He's an individual.
Right.
And like
a David Foster.
Yes, David Foster. Great example. Good to know. I hope everyone's tracking what we're talking about here. This is really cool. So if you're a producer, have your spaces so that you can negotiate to have, what is it called?
A studio fee.
Studio fee.
Yeah.
Okay.
And make sure you have a good lawyer. And
okay.
Wow.
Do you mind me asking some technicals?
Of course.
How many points did you get on Welcome, Matt?
4.
That is
And then I got, on certain songs I mixed and I got an extra point.
For mixing?
Yeah.
Sick.
Because mixers usually get a point.
Right.
Yeah.
How many points do songwriters get?
0, and it's the most fucked up thing in the music industry.
Precisely. Did we all hear that the mixers receive a point?
Yeah, that's insane, actually.
That's the one that I cannot get past it. I can't get past it.
Because they don't have a recoupable fee.
The songwriters are creating the song.
And this is no dig to a mixer.
It's insane.
It's just that you made nothing. You literally just moved. You moved stuff other people made. You didn't make something. And it's unconscionable.
It's insane. I mean, how is that going to change?
This is why I'm trying to break this open one little slice at a time. And I'm so happy you're here. I was driving here going, I know exactly what I want to talk about. And there's so much more to talk about.
Yeah.
So 4 points, 5 points if you mix it.
Which is like industry standard.
Right. Yes, it is. Unless you're Greg Kirsten, who gets probably 5. You know, there's certain like producers.
Which is still such a small percent.
Oh my God.
That's 5 points, by the way, means 5% of the master ownership. And the label gets the rest. Yep. Well, the artist gets part.
The artist gets some
but
of
not
it.
As much of the label.
And let's be clear, the points that you get are out of the artist's share.
Yes, they are.
So she's negotiating her points with Kelsey's lawyer.
Yes.
And Kelsey is the one saying, yes, you may have 4.
Yes.
Or yes, all these things are granted by the earmarked amount that the artist gets.
Yes.
Which the artist has negotiated with the label.
Unless the artist is indie.
Right.
Or has some kind of leverage with the label.
Totally.
And has more to give. But
yes. And we'll talk about, I want to save that for a few minutes because this is the most typical arrangement that I've heard of.
Yeah.
The most typical arrangement is 4 points, 1 point for the mixer. If you're co-producing, you likely split those 4 points into 2-2. So largely, Kelsey didn't have dramatic radio airplay. So we're not counting that. We're just counting basically streaming services.
Yep.
It was streamed well because obviously people heard it, people liked it.
Right.
2 years after, welcome, Matt. Have we reached 2 years?
Yeah, almost 3.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
The reason I'm saying this is because
it takes a long time.
It takes a long time. Did you make as much or more?
I was really surprised, honestly.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about publishing money. I'm talking about royalties from production.
Thank you.
From having 4 points on maybe one song, I had 5. 2 songs, I maybe had 5.
Okay.
But I forget how many tracks were on the record. But I was shocked.
In a low way or in a high way?
In a high way.
It was shocking.
It was shocking.
Oh!
I was very pleasantly surprised. And now I'm thinking, how much is the freaking label making?
Okay, let's
get
into it. Now I'm getting spicy and excited.
Yeah.
So you were shocked at how high it was?
Yeah. Especially because nothing is like crazy streams. I mean, it's good streams.
Good streams.
But like country music doesn't really stream that well. Welcome Matt streamed well.
Let's define good streams for us out here. What
I
does that feel like numbers wise?
I mean, under 40 million is
Yeah.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like a lot of album cuts on country records are like, you're lucky if you get 5 million.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like low.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm going to pivot to some streaming numbers for songwriters.
Yes.
So because I was just on a panel with Leadership Music, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with, but
I've heard of them.
I had Mike Molinar pull my numbers on how much I made on Blue Strips.
I'm scared.
Which streams fucking crazy. I mean, like crazy.
And that's a fucking hit.
It was a
global.
massive global hit. Now, because it was on, this is why I wanted to talk to you. Because it's on radio, I can look at money I made.
Yeah.
Because of radio airplay, the dinosaur of all time.
Right.
But like, he pulled my numbers on just streaming, and I was sitting next to like streaming service leader, and it was.
I love when Leadership Music does that.
God, it was bad.
They do it intentionally.
I'm literally sitting between PRO and digital platforms, and it was like, oh God, you guys are not gonna like what I have to say. I made $4,500 that I had to split with Mike
for the streaming on Blue Strips.
So the reason I'm saying this, I know.
Imagine if you had 1 point on that song.
I know. Well, that's what I'm asking you. I want to know, what does a point make a couple years later? What does it look like? Like, what does it mean?
Okay.
And if you're uncomfortable with this, please just be like, Laura, fuck off. But I want the kids to understand what 1 point is, because all we're fighting for is 1 fucking point. It's normally it's 1 point.
And it makes a difference, especially if a big song.
Okay, so give it to me.
So I had I'm not sure exactly the numbers because everything's all meshed together. But I had a song like 4 or 5 years ago called Lose Somebody that streamed really well.
Yes.
It was like a Kygo One Republic song that happened during COVID. And I think it reached 1 billion streams. And I have a point on it.
Okay.
Because my production was used.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've billed the label yet. By the way, when you have points, you have to bill the label. They're not just sending you money. Like you have to like track it down.
How can they sleep?
You have to track it down.
Highlight that.
You
have to bill the label.
Imagine having projects across the board and like being a successful producer. You have to track down every single artist, every single label. Like it's crazy.
While you're trying to make art.
And when you've successfully submitted your invoice to the label,
they pay it right away.
Yeah.
And by the way, you have to employ.
They don't?
What?
Wait, hold on.
It takes
they
don't? Fucking ever.
Sorry. It took me
okay, I get
I'm ashamed of how slow I was on the uptake on that.
That's so funny. Oh my God, my bad.
Yeah, it takes a minute for them to pay you.
Yeah. It takes forever to pay you, and you have to employ a lawyer to chase these fuckers down. So all of this costs you money.
Yes.
Okay, so wait, Kygo.
Yes. I can't remember how much I made, and I think we're probably due to bill again, but it was like tens of thousands of dollars for 1 point. So imagine, I mean.
At what point in the cycle, though,
That was
like within 6 months?
No. Years, like 2 years, 3 years, maybe.
Okay.
That's why I asked, because it takes so long. It's like there's no way to really see it until time passes.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to know, Blue Strips is going to be an interesting thing to watch. I should have fought for a point on that because I recorded the vocals with no other producers in the room, but because I was so excited and because it came out so quickly, I was like, yeah, sure. And it was I will be on my deathbed regretting decisions I made around that song.
Yeah.
For a number of reasons, because it was silly that I didn't fight for my worth and for the work I did.
Well, now you'll never let that happen again.
And I haven't since then, but it really, it stung my ass really bad, realizing that not only is the label making all of this, but there was a lot of people involved that saw the work I did and didn't do anything about it. And that's okay. They're doing what is industry standard. I actually don't like villainize people who do things the way everyone does them. I villainize me for not doing anything about it. And I think that the people who like have any level of power have to do things about these things and fight for things. And so that's why this podcast exists. That's why I'm so happy you're here. Understanding what we just talked about.
Yeah.
Like if you're out there and you're listening to this, start over. Listen to it from the beginning until you fully understand what was just said, because I know that my generation, it's too late. We're already all making enough money where we're not really worried about this.
Yeah.
The kids are going to have to think about this starting from the jump.
Especially as radio starts to dip.
Yes.
Because that's the bread and butter of songwriting.
It's the only butter, I think.
I mean, like you said, your streaming numbers, abysmal.
It's a joke.
A massive hit. $4,500 that you had to split with your publisher?
It's absurd.
And you have a good publishing deal.
I know.
What if you had a shit deal?
I know.
It's
Precisely.
awful.
It's absolutely so embarrassing. But the thing is like, I do believe there are people working on this stuff.
Yeah.
I do think it's going to take something Taylor Parks said on here that I thought was really, really fascinating.
Love
Taylor's the best. She said, songwriters, we cycle out more often than not. Like, obviously, there's some outliers. You know, there's people who stay in the business for 20 years, 30 years, and they start earning the right to fight for all this stuff. But mostly, there's like this cycle them out so we can take advantage of the new kids. Cycle them out so we could take advantage of the new kids. And
so true.
That is exactly why I'm so excited about this podcast, because like, if you don't even have a publishing deal and you understand what's coming, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how we fight back.
Yeah.
You have to know that they're taking advantage of you before it begins in order to change it.
My first deal was shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I was taking advantage of it in every way. My publishing deal, in production scenarios, my first cuts were like FGL and stuff like that. Like, I was sending my stems; they were used on the record, and they were on the record, and I had no production, but I had no standing to be like, oh, I deserve production. Now that would never happen.
Well, what would happen if you did that? Like, let's talk about, because this is yet another juicy ass topic, you bitch. You just give it to me. You're tossing the ball up and I have to hit it. Okay, so this is another thing.
Yeah.
Let me look at the time so I'm not driving anyone crazy. No, we have to talk about it. It's another thing that
it's a big one.
This is a really big one. So
and unique to Nashville. Ish? No?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No. The stems thing might be, but the taking advantage of new producers, it's everywhere. But let's talk about the stems thing, shall we?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's just the worst. It makes it, because I feel like, again, it's like tenure creates greed. And I wish tenure created mentorship. I just wish tenure created change.
Yeah.
And so let's be the change for just a little second here.
Yes.
Alysa makes a track that ends up getting like a demo. Let's call it a demo. Gets pitched to FGL. FGL records their record with X producer who's just huge.
Yep.
And a portion of what was sent gets used in the actual track. What can you do is the question. What did you do? Let's start there. What did you do?
I mean, you get a small fee, which is like $600.
Great.
Yeah.
Cute.
From the union or whatever for like programming, which is what you're called.
You get a session fee, basically what a musician gets in it for a session fee.
Yeah.
Like basically programming is like Dan Huff's guy making little like trap hi-hats. Like that's programming in my brain.
Sure.
Yep.
Now, you were there for the writing of these songs?
Yes.
Okay. So were you a co-writer on the song?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that is a separate thing, has to be looked at as a separate thing. You were asked for your stems. This is something that does happen.
Stems are basically the breakdowns of the music of the song.
So
individual tracks.
Individual tracks.
Yeah.
Because it reminds me of something you've said before, that the producer who's also the co-writer in the room is setting the producers you love to work with set the vibe.
Yeah.
And
that is the record.
Right.
Or at least
it's the foundation.
Which argues against getting your stems taken.
Yeah.
So they say, send us the stems. They say, congratulations, you're getting a cut.
Right.
Will you send us those stems? And then, months later or years later, you're like, that's mine.
Yeah.
And even in the moment, if you know they're going to use the stems, as a newer producer, your power position is simply, no, you cannot have my stems. Let's start there. No, you cannot have my stems makes you difficult.
Right.
Because you're making the producer have to work harder.
Right.
And have to recreate the thing. Or
or you're just torpedoing the song because that's such an essential part of it. You know what I mean? However, that you can change the tone of
100%.
how you want to manipulate.
But even if you don't send the stems and they just copy the vibe, that's still like you're ripping it off.
Still shitty.
And in a way, that's almost like point B.
Yeah.
That there's a C, a D. There's 1,000 points.
Yeah.
This first one seems like the most egregious, like sad. Like it's actually using a part of your work. Now, I'm in a position now where when people are using my work, which this is a thing now with vocal production, I can literally say, cool, I'll pull it. You guys just make it. I'll pull it. Now, because I'm in the position I'm in and the artist wants to write with me, the risk in bothering me is too high. They end up having to pay me for the thing.
Right.
But in the position of being new, you're either deemed difficult, you end up, blacklisted as like the stubborn new.
Yeah, and the last thing you want to do as a new writer is like burn bridges with the artists.
Right.
And you're also like losing fucking the co-writers.
Yeah.
So it's like you're losing the cut.
I wouldn't recommend not sending stems. I would recommend sending stems and being like, if I send these, I'm getting production credit.
Negotiating ahead
of time is the way to go.
Okay, can we talk about how that works when you're dealing with like the really most fanciest?
Yeah.
Like how do you do it without being like, I feel like there's a casual way to do it, just really calm.
Yeah.
Do you need a lawyer to do that?
I would say lawyer or a manager.
Okay.
And you don't have to be a dick about it. It's just like,
if you want this, you'll have to this.
And credit is credit. Like that's not hard to give. It depends on the percent of like how many points you get, and that can all be negotiated. But credit is,
be easy.
It's easy. So, and that's what most people like need for their soul anyway.
But it's the gateway drug of having to get paid eventually, because if someone gives you credit and they don't pay you, then they just look like assholes.
Yeah. Well, it also depends on how much time did you put into this? Like, I put in a shitload of hours. You put in an hour. Is that fair? There's a certain budget for the fee of the production. Should it be equal? Should it be, all that can be adjusted.
Right.
And relationships can get hurt over it. I've had that happen.
Mostly, I feel like newer people are just scared to offend.
Yeah.
Like I have a co-writer who we produced some stuff together, and if I'd known that someone asked him for my stems, I would have said, absolutely don't send them, because I was in a position to be like, I would like to make sure we're going to get credit for these stems.
Yeah.
Came out, absolutely my ideas, absolutely his ideas. He just felt intimidated, so he sent the stems. And
likely don't even know that you could. I think what you said is there's so much room.
Yeah, because you have the leverage. They won't need your stems. Yeah. You have the power.
Yep.
Yeah. And you don't have to ask for the moon.
Right.
In that early phase, like even the credit means a lot, I would think, in an early career. But you have the ability to say, hey, this is my work.
This is my work.
I know I'm sure doubling back on the subtext here, but like, how are we at this point in sort of modern songwriting and production? Like track people, producers in the writing room have been a part of the scene for over a decade now. How are we not at a point where like everyone knows from a very official, engraved in stone standpoint of like, if there's a producer in the room, their contributions, if carried over, will mean these four very cut and dry things, as standardized as is what musicians get paid to play on a record or whatever. Like, how are we at this point where it's you're left holding the bag, or someone in your position is left to be like, God, what's it going to mean if I chase this money? What's it going to do to my career?
How much is it going to cost me?
Such a little amount compared to what everyone else is making, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It's so crazy.
It's tiny. I think the answer is just simply greed. And I really am sad to say it, but I think that if people can take advantage, they will. And I'm not saying everyone across the board. I'm saying that without conversations like this, it has been in the shadows. These things are not things people discuss.
But I just like how, like, from the inception of the right, or like the before the right, but when the right gets, how is this not on the books when the right gets booked?
You mean the production?
Yeah.
Oh, I know why.
Yeah, why?
Because publishers have no incentive to fight for points. They only have incentive to fight for
percentage
of the copyright.
Fair enough, but as a producer writer, then you've got it. Don't you need some sort of other representation?
But in Nashville, this is a really interesting point you're
Sorry
making.
for my ignorance.
No. It's actually a really interesting point that I feel like might be why Nashville newer producers get so taken advantage of. Typically, they only have publishing deals.
Right.
In LA, they have managers.
So
and if you'll notice on those fucking credit lists, 75 producers,
which is
and the reason
hilarious.
is because someone has a hi-hat and someone has a this and that, because their managers are fighting for all those credits. So I feel like, to your point, I hadn't really thought about this, Kevin. Thank you for saying this. Producers in Nashville should have managers.
That's so true.
The point I wanted to make too is that the producer writers are so dispersed. It's an easy target.
Yes.
Meaning in LA, they've got managers who are working with you, all these. So they know what's going on in the deal making.
Yeah.
The new producer walking out of Belmont has no idea what we just talked about potentially.
Podcast exists.
Yeah.
If you guys can wrap your heads around this now, this is one of those posterity things where this could, if people understood this, it could change the course of how this happens. People that I think are good people do this to younger producers all the time. People I will see at BMI tomorrow, and I'm going to hug them and I'm going to shake their hands and I'm going to go, "Oh my God, you made money on my stems." That's going to happen to me. And
Can I come?
Huh?
Can I come? I just want to watch.
Yeah, sure. It's just a weird thing. People get used to things we're living this reality in American history right now. Things are in the dark. There is so much that's in the dark.
Yeah.
And this is one thing in this industry that's just in the dark. And it shouldn't be. And I feel like a solution for my brain.
Get a manager.
If you're a producer here, you need someone who's going to fight for your points.
Yeah.
Because publishers have no incentive. You can't ask your publisher to go tell somebody you're worth something if they have they're not going to make any money on that. There's no paperwork for that.
Well, they fucking should, because if you want, if you want to support this talent of yours, I understand maybe it does not fall under the legal purview or whatever.
It's not even that, it's time. There is enough to fight. Publishers have enough on their plate, and I don't think that they're thanked enough. Publishers are incredibly, at least here, publishers are very involved, and there is so much to fight for just in the publishing side alone. I feel like, and the reason I'm disagreeing with you is because I lived this. I have someone on my staff. I have someone on my publisher staff Hannah Babbitt, who we've had on this podcast, and she's been doing this basically for free, fighting for points. And when I realized that, I was like, "No, ma'am, you're hired." No, ma'am, I can't do that to you. And then when we would hit an ending point for her, "Hey, I've put enough time in this because, I'm like, "Why? I don't understand." And when I realized she had no incentive, and now she has incentive, I'm like, "No, I need you."
Yeah.
Last thing I'll say about it, but that to me is just indicative of the apparatus not being robust enough to keep up with the fucking times.
Yeah.
Because there's a person might bring several skill sets to the table, and their representation in one way is "Oh, we only cover this part of your brain and this part of your contribution." But it feels a little antiquated to me, given the circumstances.
I hear what you're saying.
The publishers have got to be sweating this too.
They don't sweat the point stuff at all, and they shouldn't, because they're not cut into that at all.
What I'm saying, the fact that they're not cut into it, should they be sweating?
I don't think they should be cut into it.
It's a different pot.
It's a different pot.
Yeah.
Because every song, this is what will end up happening, in my opinion. Songwriters who have nothing to do with production will end up having to foot the bill for people who do have something to do. They're separate things. They're just so separate.
I have a question.
Yeah.
If songwriters end up getting, say we get our dreams and
I know exactly.
songwriters get a point. Do you think they should split that with their publisher, or do you think it should just be for the songwriter?
This is a great
that's
question.
I'm glad you asked that, because that's where I was headed. How can you get the publisher on your team? Is there a moment where they get...
It's going to be wild to find out. I don't even have an opinion about this. I do know that if you do, like, there are people who are trying to they're trying to get me on a discount where it's like, if I do production stuff, which I do, and then they're like, but you're already making money on the songwriter piece. And I'm like, no, ma'am, no, sir.
No.
I did something for you that's additional.
Yeah.
So I personally am experiencing the need for them to be separate. However, do you know, this is a reality that I just did not really think about until I think someone on maybe it was this podcast or a panel I was on. Somebody said, do you know that labels literally do not in any way pay songwriters for their songs at all?
True.
Like, there's no money
mechanism.
coming
No
out
funnel,
of a record label that says we're taking this art and we're putting it on T-shirts and we're using it for the name of your tours, and their names of drinks at the bar. I mean, I literally went to a concert recently where I was like, oh my God,
I came up with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only world in which you get paid from a label is if you get a writing fee.
Yeah.
Which is not typical in Nashville, by the way.
Very,
That's
very atypical. So
what would happen if you trademarked the title?
That's for you. And please, if you can figure that shit out, let's get on.
Why would you just trademark a title, The Bones?
When I tell you, how many words of yours have ended up on T-shirts?
I don't think you can legally do it.
Mm-mm. No, it's just wild. Point is I think they do have to stay wholly separate. But to your point, if it's a songwriter specific, nothing to do with anything else, what do you think? Do you think we should split it with the...
I think it depends on it's how you look at it. I don't know. I haven't decided
either. Because publishers, I love that publishers make the same that we do. I really like the way the math works with publishers.
Yeah.
How we have we're in the same team, and then I earn the right to have a little bit more of that as my deal progresses, you know?
Yep.
Wow. And for so long in Nashville, the publishers have been the writer managers, you know, at least in that for years ago, 20 years ago.
Yes.
They were the writer manager, develop talent,
for sure,
get you in the right places, et cetera, et cetera. So you could make the argument that if you were to, instead of having two people as manager and publisher, you commingled those jobs, then
it's basically the same job, except you're not really
the flow's coming from a different place.
Yeah, I think that's the key piece is like the reason why LA is such a manager town is because points are actually
and publishers are kind of like when I talk to an LA,
100%. It's like flipped.
My publisher, huh?
It's a bank.
I don't even.
Yeah, it's a bank. Yeah,
it's a bank.
Right.
Totally.
Yeah.
Total different concept.
Yeah, but.
You've really
this has been fun.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Gave me like I have new thoughts, and I'm so grateful for your candid answers and your transparency because like one thing you said, and it's just the truth, is no one talks about this stuff, and I think it's kind of cruel to not clue the kids in on how some of this stuff goes. And
it doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah.
And we hold the power as the creatives and as the people, you know, making the magic.
Yep.
And hopefully in some small way, we're cataloging your wisdom, Paul's wisdom, all these writer-producers. If we can just catalog that wisdom, because that cycling out that you're talking about, that one day we won't even know the name of the Hall of Famer that just got inducted. It's a reality.
It's a real thing.
It's real. And which, you know, y'all aren't GE and AT&T. You know, the careers just don't continue forever.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can like cement this down, like reminder.
Yeah.
You know?
And it really is going to take people who have been here long enough and have stuck around to not let the greed monster pivot away from advocacy and into how can I win because I lost so much when I first got here. And I don't want to be alone there.
Right.
I really want our generation to do this differently because you know as well as I know, the generation before us didn't do it this way. They aren't doing it this way.
Right.
And I'm determined. And I actually know everyone's hearts too. Like, I think that no one ends up in these positions because they're evil. I think it's actually just industry standard.
Yeah.
It's just industry standard. Oh, well, now I ask for your stems.
So true.
Do you know what I mean? It just kind of happens.
Yeah.
And
it's an unspoken agreement.
And I think it's going to take some like outlier versions of us. Like, I can't tell you how many times people have said to me, I've never thought about that. Like the whole signing writers and really real, like the reality of what you're doing. They would get a half. Now they get a third. Like those little things, not small.
Yeah.
And they just, I don't think, how many times would someone, I never thought about it that way. Right. I'm like, think about it that way.
Right.
Just for 5 minutes before you make, these decisions, Fuck. And I'm excited. I know.
Love you.
You really opened up so much. I'm so grateful for you. And thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
And you look so hot and gorgeous.
Thanks, guys. Shit.
And congratulations on your Grammy nom.
Thank you.
I'm so excited.
Likewise to you, my darling.
I'll see you there. We've partied in LA before.
Yeah.
And it was good times.
Well, we're about to do it again.
Let's do it again.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Love you. Thank you,
guys.
Tracy and Kevin.
Thank you.
Alysa. Thank you for putting the pronunciation in your Instagram bio.
I know.
I'm glad it's going to use.
Yeah.
I don't have Instagram, so I called you Alyssa right out of the gate. My bad.
No, it's all good.
Thanks, y'all. Watch this shit.
Thank you.
Leave us comments, do stuff.
Subscribe. Tell
Alyssa, Alyssa, Jesus. Tell Alyssa how great she is.
Have it again.
I gotta go.
Bye.
I gotta go.